I've known Colin and the guys here probably for about 4 years. Ironically, came across them from a personal point of view because I've sort of become a bit of a track day sort of junkie over the last few years, but really wanted to build on a base. Being an engineer, I've sat in with a lot of guys that from a racing coaching point of view teach you to drive quickly, but I always wanted to understand what was happening with the vehicle, what was happening with the balance of the vehicle, traction circles, that sort of thing. So that's what I think I've got a lot from working with Colin and the guys. I've always had sort of track passes from an industry point of view at places like Millbrook and Myra, because you need those to demonstrate that you're safe in driving development vehicles. So when I wanted to sort of develop my own driving from a performance car point of view, CAT were an obvious choice to do that. I started off doing a group day with 5 other Porsche enthusiasts, and that really gave me a nice taste to it. And then now I sort of tend to do one-to-one stuff with Colin, because again, for me, that maximizes the learning, and you don't have to do weeks and weeks, shall we say, courses. Every single session you have with Colin, his first question is, okay, so what's our objective from this session? Which is really great, because it just makes you think, okay, well, I'm spending some money here, so this is an investment, so let's make sure we get that maximum return on that investment, even if it's at a personal level. Every time I've moved into a different car, I've done a half-day session with Colin at Millbrook on a familiarisation basis. It's great to sit next to somebody who you implicitly trust, that if you perhaps get into a situation where you're perhaps not balancing the vehicle correctly, he will say gas, gas, and you just know that's the right thing to do. And in a new vehicle, that's quite confidence inspiring, just to get to learn the envelopes of it a little more in a completely safe environment, where you can explore your abilities and the car's abilities. I think we've developed a friendship with Colin and Joe, and been on a couple of trips at Spa, which is a great way of spending a little more concentrated time, and you can develop learning objectives for each session, and just move through each one more and more, and progress, but never really sort of feel as though you're out of control. Clearly, if you are pushing on in a certain environment, then occasionally you'll go over the edge. But every time that's done, Colin's very good at bringing it back, understanding what happened in that scenario, take the learning points from it, and move on. So understand what is objectively happening to the vehicle, which then when you go away and you're driving yourself on the road or on a track situation, then you just feel more confident in what the vehicle is doing, might be doing, will be doing in the future. And without getting ahead of yourself, that is really quite confidence inspiring. What I'm thinking of doing, and it's a little bit of a sort of a standing joke now, I've resisted moving over to the dark side of racing, because that brings a lot of other things with it. So I try to sort of drive smoothly and progress, shall we say. But I must admit, I am starting to be lured more and more by just dabbing my toe, shall we say, in racing, and the environment that Colin and Joe create, with sort of other sort of enthusiasts is a little more of a, I would see it as sort of an informal club, where it just makes it a little bit easier. There's good people around, so you don't feel as though you're sort of going on this journey completely blind. I'm a bit of a Porsche fan, it must be said. So I've had 997 Gen 2 GT3. I've had an Exige Cup, which was an amazing vehicle on track. And then most recently, I have a Cayman GTS, which was pretty much a run-out model of the 987 Gen 1, but a great package. And if you listen to the commentators, probably the best sports car you can buy, for relatively sensible money. That is a astoundingly well-balanced vehicle. It's mid-engined, but also being a Porsche fan, I've got a couple of 993s, which is the last generation of the air-cooled cars. So I like those because they're practically 20-year-old vehicles, but they can still progress in modern traffic, as they say.